In this episode, we talk about great marketing habits, entrepreneurship, and feeling like an outcast. Hi everybody and welcome to Habit Hackers Rebel Radio episode 2. In this episode, I sat down with Ben Laing. So Ben is a marketer. He's an Amazon entrepreneur. He's also an SEO expert. In Ben's teen years, he took his father's business to over £1 million business through his efforts on Google, his early efforts on marketing. And since then, he's gained a large following online, as well as gaining a business for himself and gaining clients that respect him and listen to him. Now, I sat down with Ben to learn the habits of a marketer, of somebody trying to grow their business on Google with using social media, all the technology that we have available in 2017. But very quickly, the conversation became about Ben's background, is what it was like growing up, the things he learned in his teen years, the things he didn't learn at school. We spoke about so much more than just marketing. We covered that, yes, but we went into depth as to the influence of a father in your early years. We went into conversations around what the portrayal of entrepreneurship is and what the world is actually like. And we also spoke about the inclusive nature of finding your tribe, finding your niche, finding your crowd, your community, and the impact that can have in your life. So have a listen for the next 30-40 minutes, absorb it, and as always, a welcome feedback. Appreciate the reviews from episode 1, 5-star reviews, very grateful for, but hope this adds some value. Listen to the end and take what you will. What do you consider yourself to be? What do you consider your skills? Where do you love spending your time? Where do you find your entrepreneurship?
So my dad definitely helped me with the mindset by selling me on the idea of what he was doing. So my dad's very he's a great visionary, and he's always been that way, and he's really good at sharing his vision. So my dad's definitely the entrepreneur in the family, and he's kind of sold me on that idea of what you can do rather than doing the normal 9 to 5.
Yeah.
My dad had me watching these videotapes when they were about, VCRs, and he would have me watch videos on like investing, entrepreneurs, people who have set up businesses, been successful. Yeah. And I remember, I've told the story before somewhere, that I seen the guy on the video. He must have been about 35, and he had retired. He was by his poolside. Like that. This is like the perception that we get for entrepreneurship, and I had that at a young age. Like, I seen this guy, but it looked like he had really put in the effort to get to where he was. And I liked the idea of doing something for myself, and I kind of looked up to this guy. I don't remember who he was or what he done, but I was pretty young at the time. I must have been very young when I watched that video, because it's just a brief memory. I got probably up to about 20 clients I was running marketing for. I was getting their websites high on Google. So all working. But at that stage, that's when I realised how much work it was, and it wasn't as easy as I expected it to. Like, I think when you first begin and you're naive and you're ignorant, you go in, you think everything's going to just keep growing. It's just going to keep going up and up, and it's going to get better. You're at 20 clients. Next year you'll be at 30. Next year maybe you'll be at 40, maybe 100. It doesn't go like that. So it's ignorance, I would say. Oh no, it's being naive. That's probably what most business owners who haven't been warned, haven't read the books before they've got into it, like I did, they go into it with like a good vision, which is a good idea, to go into something with a good vision. I probably went into business without any really solid defined goals, and I guess a lot of business owners do that. People stumble, like I did. I stumbled into starting my own business. I had massive influence from my dad for it, but it was something I did want to do, and I made it happen. And it was kind of forced and stumbled at the same time, because I'd started planning what I'd wanted to be doing. I was really enjoying those like nighttime hours working with my dad on business. I didn't really realise what it was I was doing, but I was actually developing a skill. And then when I lost my job, I had the two choices to start a business or get another job. And the job I was actually, it was the best day of my life probably that day. I lost my job. And I was like driving home and I was thinking, oh my God, I'm never going back to work again for someone. I'm going to do what my dad's done and I'm going to start my own business. So I had that excitement. I was very excited to just jump into it because I knew my back would be against the wall because I wasn't going to have the income that I was used to. I had a full-time income. I was at my parents' home. It was probably the richest I've been in my life because I didn't have any bills or anything to pay. And I've now got a subcontractor I pay as well now. So it balances itself out.
Yeah.
And I went into it with like not much knowledge of what I was going to put myself into. I got to those 20 client stage. I brought on a full-time web developer and I lost a couple of clients. And then things started from, it's like when you watch a movie, it's all up, up, up. Then the baddie comes in and it goes downhill. Yeah. And that's what happens in entrepreneurship. And it's happened 30 times to me in my career so far in business, which has been about 7 years. Yeah. And it's just up and down. They call it the entrepreneurial roller coaster. Right. And to answer the other part, was like the definition of entrepreneurship is not what that image I had of that 35-year-old at his poolside retiring. That's not what it is. That's what there's a perception that we have. It's not anything new. It's always been around because that was when I was 10 years old. I seen that and it inspired me. What I think it's about is enjoying that entrepreneurial roller coaster, the ride. Enjoy. The most important thing you can learn is to enjoy the ride along the way to your goals. Because if you're on that ride on the way down and you're not enjoying what you're going for, you don't understand what it is you're going for, your life's crashing down, burning, and you don't know what the point of all this hell is for. You have to understand why you're putting yourself through so much hell. Because a lot of entrepreneurship is not sitting by the poolside with your laptop. I've tried that. I used to have I called it my mobile office. I had my laptop and I went into the garden in the summer and worked on my laptop. But what I found, this is quite funny actually, is I would try and set up like how I imagined it reading in the 4-hour work week and these ideas of sitting on the beach with your laptop. And I would sit outside and it would be like quite a hot day in Scotland, mid-July. I would get the laptop. The laptop would overheat. But I would come out with the laptop, take my top off. I would maybe put sunglasses on. I would I can't see the screen for one, and then the laptop would start like warning that it's overheating. Yeah. And then like having the sunglasses on, I could hardly see the screen. So I went and got a hat, and I found that I had to bring about 30 things outside into the garden to get set up on the laptop, and then to discover that it was actually not worth it. I would be better working all the hours I was going to work in the cold office out of the sun, getting my work done and spending the evening in the sun. That was a massive discovery. So that idea of sitting on the beach, working from anywhere in the world, it's very difficult to make that happen. I think it's doable. You can find there is such a thing as passive income. I've got passive income from a couple of businesses I've set up, but what you really need to learn is that you have to put in the work. There's no in between. You've got to spend the hours in the cold office when it's sunny outside. Right.
Being at school and feeling like the number one frustration with school wasn't really what we were learning. I understood why people do maths and people read books. I get that. And I get the value of history. I didn't see the connection to my future was the challenge for me is what I do today, how does that impact anything? What's the relevance of this to my life? So that was the gap that entrepreneurship filled for me is I can do something today that will affect my life and my future. What is it for you? Is that the same or very different? Is when you think back at school, think back about growing up and having that job, what didn't that have that entrepreneurship has for you?
it's like everyone else around me understood why they were at school, and I never kind of fitted into that idea. It was like, even like lunch breaks and things, I always found myself to be, this might just be personality, but I always found myself to be quite awkward at a younger age, even at the lunch break.
Yeah.
So I just always felt like I never knew what it was. I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought I was too much of an individual. Like I was just never gonna. I wanted to fit in. I definitely did want to fit in, and I wanted to be as clever as everyone else in my class.
Yeah.
I called it clever back then. I don't really call it clever anymore. That what people were in school. I've realised now that it wasn't that I wasn't clever. It was just that I was different. I didn't a different way of learning things, and school didn't teach those ways of how I was going to take it in.
Yeah.
And that just left me confused. So it's the beginning of my life in school through to a couple of jobs was definitely confusing and hard, like not enjoyable really, and like in the actual environments where I was sharing it with everyone who was getting along fine, and then I kind of felt lost in this world of everyone doing the same thing and just not understanding how I didn't engage with it, people, and with the system or the what was being taught, the program, what was being actually taught here as well, and that was very difficult for me at the beginning. So I think that can be maybe a spark as well as like the hardship of the beginning of your life, and the willingness to fix that for yourself as well is probably a massive spark for entrepreneurs. Is like they had a struggle of some sort in their past, even if that's with their parents or school or their jobs. I think it starts to create a fire inside, and that's kind of one thing for me as well. It brings out maybe competition. You get competitive, and I find a lot of entrepreneurs are competitive as well. So yeah, so hardship, just not finding my way in the natural world, and just being pushed out by the world into something, forced into something else that I had to discover what it was. One of my personality traits is an activator, and an activator is someone who takes action on something they learn as soon as they hear it. I read a book, and I actually sit on this chair sometimes when I'm reading a book, and I get through a page, and then I feel like I have to like stand up and go and do what I've just read sometimes. So I take a lot of notes, and that's probably what leads to the studying of the books.
Is the appeal of entrepreneurship that it's an environment you understand, or is it that there's people in it that you understand?
I think at the beginning it was more, right, I'm an individual. I think this is the best way for me to work on my own. Do it yourself, get things done in your own way, in your own time, in your own environment. And that's how I set out what I thought business was all about, just going for it yourself and then bringing on people when you need them. Through the learning from other people, sharing their stories, it definitely gives you a bit of comfort that you're not the only one that feels like that it's been forced out by the world. You actually start to feel, like you're saying, a bit of community, but you don't feel that community until you actually get face to face with fellow outcasts. Let's call it. You don't feel that until you get out there. So social media, I don't think can, even if you've got a group like my Ben's Business Book Club, that was the idea that I was kind of doing as well, I think, is that I was bringing people who thought like me together, and creating a community around myself. But I think a step beyond that really does help getting into a community online, even if you can't find them nearby. But a step further is definitely getting out to conferences, because that's where you're going to find people like you. Go to conferences that are related to your interests and meet people who have those interests, and obviously specific interests of what you're doing and whatever business it is you're in, and you'll meet people similar to you that way and connect with them. And I think that's when you start to get into the community of entrepreneurship, and find those what do you call anomalies. I can't say it.
Not yeah.
Anomalies.
Yeah. Because it is a funny thing. Even you get so people learning to sell online or exist online,
Yes.
or run a business fully online, they will still have a conference, and that makes no sense on paper, because they expect all their clients to exist online.
Yes.
And their careers online. So why not just watch a video?
Yeah.
Or listen to an audio
Yeah.
track? Why meet in person? Why fly or travel hundreds of miles to meet in person? So there is that idea of going to an event to physically stand with other people.
It's a much different feeling than everything from because you're still alone when you're watching videos or talking to people through the internet.
For those, so that probably makes a lot of sense to those that are getting into business or have been in business for a while and discovering what the environment and the culture of entrepreneurship is actually like, which is great. You make a living and a successful living talking about SEO, marketing, and helping businesses to gain business.
Yeah.
So what are the kind of things that you would teach? Or what do you believe are the core habits of any business? What do they need to be doing to gain the business they want? And I guess the good place to start is that elevator pitch. For those that don't know what an elevator pitch is, how would you describe what that means?
Okay, why it's called an elevator pitch is this: you get in an elevator at the bottom floor, and an executive walks in you want as a client, and they ask you, "Hi, who are you? What do you do?" You should have that.
To the next floor,
by the time they get to like the floor that they're going to, you want to have been able to say exactly what you wanted to say to him, to tell him what you do. So he says, "Oh, have you got a business card?" or "What's your website?" So you have to gain his interest. So the best elevator pitches are usually not about you. I'll say, "I am Ben Laing. I help businesses get more sales online with search engine optimization, which is getting websites high on Google so they can get found. I also help businesses with their social media marketing, and I build WordPress websites. How about you?" So you see in my elevator pitch, I say, I help businesses get more sales. It's not about me. It's about how I help businesses.
Yeah.
But keep it brief, nail it down in almost bullet points as quickly as possible.
Maybe it's always been the case, but it seems like in the last couple of decades, attention is harder and harder to get.
Yes, yeah. It's getting harder even on Google because people are becoming a wee bit wiser to how search engines work. It was very easy for me when I was doing it for the property websites, as I was talking about when I was 17, but like more than 10 years on, it's getting a wee bit more competitive because I've been teaching SEO and teaching people how to compete with me, and I've been there's obviously multiple people who do search engine optimization and teach it, so lots of people are learning it, and it's only going to get harder and harder. But the fact is, there's always going to be new ways to get attention. So I wouldn't say it's harder to get attention in this day and age than it was 10 years ago. It's just changed. So like the attention changes over time. That's all that happens. It doesn't actually make a difference like where you're getting attention, as long as you're getting attention as cheaply as possible.
Yeah.
If you can get it free, all the better. So search engine optimization is free, but it takes a lot of time to get your website on the first page. So yeah, I would agree that the techniques that I used 10 years ago to get attention are harder, but I'm finding new ways to get attention through social media, and even cheap pay-per-click advertising through Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And I've found that that's a very good opportunity right now. Is a lot of people are actually, I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk mentioned in one of his keynotes that all the billions of pounds that were being spent from TV or are being spent in TV advertising, that shift is going to move into Facebook advertising. So all that money from TV ads that are being pumped into TV ads, because the attention's moved from TV to the internet and social, especially Facebook, a lot of money is going to be spent there. So that's going to get harder as well, because actual advertising agencies are moving their budget into Facebook advertising. The goalposts are always moving in terms of finding where the attention's going. and just getting yourself in front of that. So it's like being where your audience is looking at the right time in front of the right people.
Yeah. So it's actually not that it is any harder to market today than it was years ago. It's just that that's really just said from a place of, well, the methods that I have now, the things that I do,
Yes.
no longer bring the results they did. Therefore, it's harder. But it's not harder.
Yes.
It's just your attention's in the wrong place.
Yes.
Almost ironically, you're trying to gain attention, but your attention's in the wrong place.
Yes.
Do you believe Facebook is the place 2017 to the attention is highest, or?
Yes. Well, it depends on the product and service as well. I think Facebook's a very valuable marketplace to get attention from almost the mass. You don't go onto Facebook to look for a plumber or a joiner. You type it joiner in then your local area, or plumber in your local area. So that's kind of the depth of that question. Is like it can't be answered with one answer. Is that Facebook's the answer? It's more that you need to do the research on your market before you make that decision of what platform or medium you're going to advertise on.
That's kind of how you got into entrepreneurship, what you found it to be. That's kind of the skill set that you bring to that world. From your perspective, what other habits do you have that you think, I wouldn't be where I am without this? Or, I'm glad I gave up on that habit. I can't believe I used to do that.
Right.
But
Okay.
what are the pillars, and what are the things that you value the most beyond?
Yeah, that's a really good question. At the beginning of a business, what was the number one thing that grew your business to where it is today? And if you think about that question, you go back and make a wee list of like the things that actually grew your business. What people do is they end up getting romantic and think that there's other ways to grow your business, and they neglect that thing that grew their business at the start. And it's the same how what grew you as a person, and you neglect that. It's like I stopped reading and I neglected that, and nothing improved. And then I went back to what was actually what got me to where I was, got me to start my business, was actually learning new skills. So learning new skills, developing your skills daily, and modelling, systemizing, and probably a habit that I got rid of was binge drinking.
Right.
Because I enjoyed going out with my friends every weekend from the age of 17, and going out clubbing, parties, every Friday, Saturday. But what I found was my hangover went over into the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and sometimes Wednesday. Depends
That's the first session.
how good a party we had. So I found that actually made me very unproductive running my own business. It couldn't work together, and it made me very hard. It made things difficult to deal with in business. Like any stressful situations, I found that alcohol and stress, or hangover and stress, just don't work together. So I've not quit drinking altogether, but I've chose to have 1 or 2 glasses when I decide to drink. And I just kind of stopped myself there. That's one thing I definitely dropped, and it made a massive difference in my life, and my career and personal life as well. I've just got more energy. I'm more productive on a Monday morning, Tuesday and Wednesday. And like if you the start of your week's bad, it's going to have a spiral effect into the rest of your week. So I think drinking to excess at the weekend is something I cut out completely. I didn't even I didn't continue going out at all, really. I just kind of cut it off. So I snapped out of, I found something that wasn't providing any type of value to my life anymore. I stopped enjoying even like the actual going out as much as I used to. It was just a habit. So I still had my habits, and I started my business. I realised at about 24. That's probably the number one habit that I cut out of my life that's really made my life a lot better.
Really, these pillar habits that you have is the impact of the things. So,
yes,
reading, I imagine, correct me if I'm right or wrong, but that will change how you feel about yourself, because at school you will have said to yourself, well, I'm not academic, I'm not a learner, I'm not a reader.
Yeah.
But the decade on, that changing, and
yes,
that affects that. And then drinking at the weekend, like most do on the Saturday night, going into the Sunday. When you stop doing that, the people that do that probably don't have time for you anymore, or you don't have time for them.
Yeah, that definitely happens. You get separated, and because it's like now I attract, and I also go towards entrepreneurs who are doing similar things to myself. So I tend to make new friends with business owners rather than drinking buddies, which is just because it's in your day-to-day life. You're not going to meet as many people doing something the opposite of what you do every day. So I think that's the main thing, is that if you stop a habit from there on, you're not going to associate with the people who you done that habit with.
Sure.
So your new habits or whatever is going to lead to new roads, new people, new paths. It's not a nice process to leave those old habits behind. It's very difficult, actually, especially something you've done for a long time and you've actually had lots of enjoyment and good memories from it. I try my best to deal with that, is to live in the present moment by realizing being grateful for what I have now, and even like I don't look into the past very often. I just try my best to enjoy what I have right now, and that's probably the best way to deal with breaking apart from friends who you maybe used to drink with, or friends who used to do things that you don't do those activities anymore, and you're probably not going to associate with people who do that anymore.
Interestingly enough, is how this all started is one video of somebody at 35 saying, "Look, I've retired," and that was the starting point. But what ended up happening is you moved towards that direction, found that, tested the water with that let me try this laptop in the garden on the beach and see, wow, I really don't like that. And almost once you're in it, you find that, well, the things I looked to get from entrepreneurship, which was financial freedom of any kind,
yes,
aren't there. But what I've got from it is a lot more, and there's a community, and there's a pack of, a tribe of outliers.
Yeah.
And really, that probably changes the future to a place of, I don't want to retire at 35.
Yeah.
What would I do if I weren't deep in the world of entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
Why would I ever retire?
Yes.
This is great.
Yeah. That's basically what's happened. The process is, the idea of the end of the process or the finish line has changed, and by going through a process to aiming for something, you find new things along the way, and I've set lots of new goals in the middle of all that, and discovered things that I actually enjoy, and I've realised it doesn't have to come to an end. That the best thing about all of this that I do is actually the day-to-day. Like, it's strange, but I actually enjoy when things don't go right, because I can fix them. It gives me purpose every single day when I've got something to fix or direct, or someone to help, or something to fix. So it gives me purpose day to day. So I think if without all these struggles and problems and things to fix, it would give me a lack of purpose and direction. Because if I came to a halt and I didn't have any of this, I would probably, I don't know how I could stop now. It would be very strange to me.
That makes a lot of sense. That's what I understand, and what a lot of people I know understand the real world of entrepreneurship to be addictive. And you meet so many, or you read about and meet so many CEOs of companies that have grown a company from the first day to billion size company, or whatever level they decide. They sell it and they're lost.
Yes.
Because well, the thing that gave me purpose is gone. Just to finish up on what we're talking about, the thing that a lot of people will know you for online will be Ben's Business Book Club. That's something you put a lot of effort into, time into.
Yeah.
You clearly care about book learning and sharing the wisdom that you've learned and pointing people in the right direction.
Yes.
Is that all there is to that, or is there more motivation beyond that?
The reason I started the book club was because I found it frustrating there wasn't any business books out there. So as entrepreneurs do. They innovate and they create what doesn't exist. I knew that it was going to be a long-term journey. It's going to be something like personal development will be something I'll do until I die. So it's been such a successful group because there's no real agenda behind the beginning of starting it. I didn't start it for any financial purpose. I've encouraged a lot of people to read through the group, and that's really what it's been about, encouraging people to read, recommending books to each other, and also learning together like a book club does. We don't read books together like a normal book club. We don't read like month to month the same book, but we do all read similar books to each other because it's very niche. It's a business book club rather than just a book club, and we all tend to read similar books to each other. So we get in good discussions, and what I've found is you learn from other people's what other people took away from the book and what they disagreed about the book, and you get in good conversations in it. So the groups just went from strength to strength, and I've never stopped benefiting from it. So although there is a bit of management administration to manage the group, there's always been a benefit for me as the admin to run the group. So from there, I don't know, I might move it one day to something like Slack. I might create a private group for it. I have some plans. I can't help myself from building something up like that and attracting lots of people to not think of some business plan from the back of it. But what I think back to the reason why it was successful up to now is because it didn't have any agenda to create something. It was created off of passion, and the business might come later. Who knows, whatever I do with it. But it's a lifetime process, this book club, and because it's all part of my personal development, and I know discussing books with others helps as another level of learning.
Nice. What I get that. I think that's something I've been part of, and it's really good. If you're looking to save time and effort on reading a lot of crap books, it's a great place to ask the question of, I'm about to read this, is it worth the time?
Yeah.
And the answer might be yes, the answer might be no, but you can ask why not.
Yeah.
Recommendations, hearing about other books that people have read, and then also if you're reading a book that someone else is reading, having that discussion as well. But it's been interesting to speak to you about everything that you've done, everything, how you started, and that simple video of a 35-year-old guy looking to retire.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see that one of the main habits you believe is book learning, and how often it's not the medium, it's the format, and it's the type of person you are. So books existed at school and yet they make no sense to you, and books in the business world make sense because there's a problem to solve.
Yes.
So it's been great to hear your insight into that. Great to hear your habits that you employ yourself and teach others to do, and I look forward to seeing what habits you give up on and what ones you continue and what ones you double down on.
Yeah.
So, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Craig.
If you're listening to this point, thank you. I appreciate you taking the 30-40 minutes out of your schedule, out of your day to listen in and hopefully grow. As you can hear, there's a lot of value from Ben. There's a lot of value from this episode. If you enjoyed it, please get involved in the Habit Hackers private Facebook group. This is a group of entrepreneurs and people looking to grow and learn the right habits, and a great community in which to share your thoughts, hear others, and learn and grow. We also have habithackerplanner.com. We have a new planner out, launching in the beginning of 2018. This is a planner that, unlike other planners, allows you to form the habits that are going to cultivate success in your life. It helps you cultivate gratitude, goal setting, time management, personal management within time, and so much more than that. Please check it out, habithackerplanner.com.